Welcome to News Unboringed, where we take the boring out of the news, but unfortunately not the depression. So let's start off with obviously some shit news, because it's all shit. A blogger who took a toxic substance was failed by a hospital, just like everyone else in the moment, because the NHS is in crisis, there's meant to be strikes soon, everyone's striking soon, teachers are striking now. There's a lot of bloody strikes at the moment and a lot of disruption, so definitely be prepared for a bit of a rough time. It's going to be a bit tumultuous. A mental health blogger who took her own life by swallowing a poisonous substance was failed by the psychiatric hospital caring for her, juries found. Beth Matthews, 26, died a short time after taking the substance, which she had ordered online and told staff was protein powder. In March last year, she was being treated in a hospital in Stockport, Priory Hospital, Cheadle Royal, to name what it is. An inquest jury concluded she died from suicide, contributed by neglect, which I presume basically means she was neglected so much she decided to take her own life, because I don't know what else it would mean. Alec Baldwin's going to be charged for the fatal rush shooting that killed the movie's director. Anyway, and now for some good news. In sport, the incredible Andy Murray beat Thanasi Kokinang, whatever his name is, at 4 a.m. in Melbourne. Despite his metal hip. Don't know how he still does it. And now, onto the BAFTA nominations. Look, it's some good news! No more depression! Woo! For at least another 2 minutes. All Quiet on the Western Front got 14 nominations. The critically acclaimed World War I epic is an adaptation of the 1928 novel by Enrique Maria Remarque. 10 nominations for Everything Everywhere All at Once and The Banshees of Inisherin. 9 for Elvis. 5 for Tar, or Dad, I don't know how to pronounce it. 4 for After Sun, The Batman, Top Gun Maverick, The Whale, and good luck to you, Leo Grande. If any of you have seen any of these films, please comment below if they actually deserve any of these nominations, and if they're not just shit. Kim Kardashian is the new owner of Princess Diana's Amethyst Cross. As in this one. But just like the title of a Rex Orange County album, his charges have been dropped, and he's more than likely innocent, so I feel safe making these jokes. Who cares? 3 women died it's the exact same bloody psychiatric hospital. Because it's not fit for purpose, clearly, and it doesn't know how to do it. Lauren Bridge is another example. 2 other young women, along with that Beth Matthews I was talking about a few minutes ago, died at that exact same psychiatric hospital. And it just shows how shit mental health service is now. They're all saying speak out. But when you look at the conditions of where you might be sent, where you're supposed to improve in a safe, loving environment, you look at that and chances are you'd rather just suffer in silence. And it's absolutely saddening looking at how shit it is. And it absolutely breaks my heart for those suffering who need the help, who are having to just suffer in those absolute dumps that are not fit for purpose and that could easily just harm them in the long run. The amount of people suffering who can't get help because they're on one of those bullshit fucking waiting lists, or nothing is working for them because of the state of mental health help in this country, just saddens me. The amount of victims I know. I'm a fucking victim. You know, the motherfucker that owns this channel, he's a fucking victim. But he's not actually been to any of these because of how shit it is. He doesn't plan. And yeah, when you look at these, just rather suffer in silence. And honestly, it saddens me that when you see the conditions at mental health places, seems like a better option. Rishi Sunak is sorry for removing a seatbelt to film a video, and then says he believes everyone should wear a seatbelt because, you get fined if you don't and are spotted. Who gives a shit? And it's fucking freezing. But it'll be milder at the weekend. So, Yeah. And, Emiliano Sala, that footballer who was going to sign for Cardiff and ended up dying in a plane crash on the way. Cardiff City tried to take out a £20 million insurance on him the day he was killed in the plane crash. Say papers failed to the High Court. His plane crashed on the 21st of January 2019, killing him and the pilot. A company of insurance brokers said the club failed to get, sorry about me not being able to talk at the moment, failed to get cover before Salah's plane went down in January 2019. They're seeking damages more than £10 million from insurance brokers following the death. Argentine player Salah was on a private flight from Nantes as he travelled to take up his new role with the club then in the Prem, but the club been unable to claim back the money paid for Salah after insurers failed to pay out. Well, refused to. Cardiff City are suing insurance broker Miller Insurance LLP, claiming it owes more than £10 million in a High Court bid. The club said the firm failed to say players would not be covered if they were not timely informed of new signings, such as their new star striker. But lawyers representing the brokers said it was not up to them to chase club bosses over, making sure new signings were insured and that the club were fully aware Salah was not insured. Alistair Schaff, KC, told the High Court that Cardiff City contacted insurers regarding Salah on the 22nd of January, the morning after his flight went missing off the coast of Albany. Mr. Schaff said the coverage made contact via email seeking £20 million of coverage for Salah. Cardiff City claim Miller Insurance failed to properly explain the concept of an insurable interest for football player transfers and the requirement of a prompt notification of the transfer in order to secure coverage. It said the broker also did not let the club know about the risk of delaying this notification of an interest or the steps that might be taken to reduce or eliminate the risk, but Miller insisted it was not their responsibility to chase the club to ensure that it added new players to its policy immediately, and it claimed the broker had warned Cardiff several times there would have been a gap in a player's insurance between acquiring insurable interest in a new player and informing the insurer. Lawyers for Cardiff City said that Miller's defence has been evaluated, but doesn't seem to contain any surprises. The club, represented by David Phillips, added that it expects to file a reply soon to High Court. In summary, Cardiff throwing a hissy fit over this Emiliano Sala tragedy, and the insurance broker saying it's not their problem. But yeah, honestly, it just breaks my heart, this situation. They've recently paid the first instalment of the transfer fee. And it's just horrible what happened to him. She had so much potential. Jacinda Ardern decided to resign as Prime Minister recently because she was just burnt out. Her star waned in New Zealand, and she was more really famous she was more famous abroad. Well, she was more popular abroad, that's the word. She was more popular abroad than home. And yeah, she's resigned. So we will see about what happens to him. And in the final ever Messi versus Ronaldo clash, it ended 5-4 to PSG. Messi scored 1 and Ronaldo scored 2. Tennis player Ruud is out of the Australian Open to Jensen Brooksby, and the injured Djokovic, despite being troubled by an injury for most of the match and receiving treatment, got a victory. And Charlotte FC defender, who was a former Tottenham Youth Academy prospect and Portsmouth defender, Anton Walks, has died in an accident at the age of 25. Real shame. And the Met is not having a good time. A police officer of theirs admitted to being a serial rapist, raping over 50 women, and now a number of Met officers are being investigated after a girl's strip search. And honestly, these strip searches are just absolutely ridiculous. Minors being searched for something that's probably complete bullshit like that. Like, It's just wrong and stupid. And, like, obviously, I get it sometimes. I guess. I don't fucking know. There should be some privacy if you're going to search a teenager. There should be, like, some degree of privacy because they're a fucking minor. Unless you're almost certain. And even then. It's scummy what they did, and strip searches should be a last resort, if used at all, in my eyes. And yeah. And yeah, the state of the Met has been a bit shit for years, and it's growing even shittier. Scotland is considering a ban on disposable vapes. Great news, fantastic news. At last, this fucking vape epidemic could be slightly waned. Is it that hard to just breathe air? Like, Andrew Tate is a piece of shit in many ways, but he is absolutely, and I'm pretty sure most people could agree on him, bang on the money with vapes. It's just ridiculous. A stepfather has admitted the murder of a 5-year-old girl. I do not know how people can do that and sleep at night. Honestly, a child, a 5-year-old, she had all of her life ahead of her, and you can just admit it like it's nothing. Honestly, confuses me. But I think the biggest story of the week is Scotland putting into court this law which will make trans people change their legal gender easier, and it reduces the age where they can from 18 to 16. Like, Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party, have said it's too young, and the Tory government just said it's ridiculous because they have no backbone. But, like, in a number of ways, it's a good law. It should be easier for them to switch. I mean, like, if they want to go back, like, unless they've done, like, unless they've had the surgery and it's irreversible, like, they should be allowed to change it back, like, yeah. And I get preventing surgery until you're 18. You're a lot more mature as an 18-year-old than a 16-year-old, but, like, changing your gender, like, if you have to switch back, you should be able to switch back. So, yeah, it's just, I do support the law. Scotland, just do yourself a favour and get the fuck out of here. And I know there's a number of ways that this law is a risk. Of course, there's risks to, like, every law. There's risks to being trans from, in every way, just because of the homophobia and, like, pressure to not be trans from the world, basically. But, like, it should be easier for you to change your gender. And as I said, you can change back. As I said, maybe I'll get, like, preventing surgery until you're 18. That I can sort of understand. But to just change a gender, as long as you can switch back if you feel you absolutely must. I'm not saying every transgender person will want to switch back, but some may. There's going to be a few in a population of millions of trans people that may not feel the same way, may feel like they're, like, say, gender fluid, may just feel like they're the gender they were born with again. Like, things can change. I'm not saying it will change for everybody, but it could easily change for some. And as long as you're able to change back if you feel that way, I don't see a problem with this law. And in other news, a British actor has been identified, Julian Sands, as the hiker missing in Southern California. He is known for being in popular films and TV dramas, including A Room with a View, 24 and Smallville. Real shame. Hope they find him safe and well soon. And on today's episode of Who the Fuck Cares and Why Is This News, Netflix offers $385,000 for a private jet attendant. Who cares? Good night, see you next week. One thing I forgot to talk about was the sex noises during Liverpool versus Wolves. Imagine watching that with your family, and then in the background you hear, I'm not going to try to replicate it. Chess has been through some rough things. I'm only messing. We've never fucked. Give it a few weeks. And I think there was one more thing that I wanted to say. Although I'm not actually sure if there was another thing I wanted to say now. Sorry about that. Church of England bishops refuse to back gay marriage because they're Christians and Christians don't back gay marriage usually. I mean, it's a shame, but it's no big surprise. Santos denies taking money from a dying dog. On GoFundMe from a disabled military veteran who, was just trying to pay for a dog's cancer surgery. Although this headline could have been written better. The New York congressman is facing multiple calls to resign over claims that he fabricated much of his resume to win the seat, and despite the controversy, he's been assigned to serve on 2 committees. If he has done it, then that's a shame and he's an absolute scumbag. But if he hasn't, then that's all complete bollocks. Good night. See you next week.